now. Okay. Okay, I'm on McCormick Drive with Zhimin Lu, and Zhimin had a freeze up this winter, and the first thing, and he's insulated his pump, and I'm here to check it. And the one thing that I want to do before we check it is I wanted to ask Zhimin, what were the circumstances on your freeze up? Were you away from your house?
We were from my house for 1 week.
1 week, okay.
Yeah.
And the other question I had, when you came back, was it frozen right as soon as you started to use water when you came back, or?
We didn't know until the second, because we came back at the night.
Okay.
So we didn't use anything.
Okay.
So the morning we rushed out. My wife stayed home and tried to wash all the dirty clothes.
Okay.
Then started found the problem because the alarm.
The alarm went off.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Do you know what day of the week it was when she?
That's the Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday.
So you came back on a Monday.
I would come Monday night.
Okay, because I think I remember when I heard about your freeze up, I checked the temperature, and I think the temperature went down to about -6.
Yeah.
On the day, but I was going to check with you to make sure I got the day right.
Yeah.
And was there any snow on the ground?
At that time, no snow.
No snow on the ground.
Just cold, yes.
Okay, because the snow if there was snow on the ground, it can help insulate the pump.
Oh.
In this case, without any snow on the ground and being gone for a week,
Yeah.
all of that led to the the pump freezing up.
I see.
And the other thing about the freeze up that I wanted to show here is the depth of the of the grinder pump. In the grinder pump, this line, okay, so you can't really see this very clearly because it's green on green, but it'll say right here, ground burial depth, and then there's a kind of some arrows. So on your grinder pump, you kind of see where the earth is. We can measure the ground burial depth, and that looks like about 5.5 or 6 inches too high. And that makes it easier to freeze because it's not set as deep into the ground.
Okay.
And I've seen other ones where that's as bad as 7 or 8 inches.
So do you think we should put some dirt, get in it there?
Yes, actually that would help.
Okay.
That would help.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
if it only went right here, it wouldn't really matter so much, but it's a question of how much it covers because it keeps that whole area inside warmer. But given the fact that you're insulating it, then it probably won't matter.
Okay.
And it would really be up to you. But it is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, okay.
And it is a good idea. So let's go ahead and take your bag out. He already did this yesterday, but I just came over to double check to make sure everything looks okay.
Yeah.
And also to make sure that you know how not only to put the bag in, but how to get it out in case you have to. And you just have to be gentle with it, that's all, because it's made out of plastic. It could rip if it got caught on something. It might get caught on these hooks, so you just have to be careful when you're pulling it out that it doesn't get caught on anything. And the other thing you want to be careful of, putting it out or putting it in, is you don't want to disturb the equalizer or this electrical connector. Obviously, they have to stay up here, that you can't let them fall down. That would be very bad. Because they could get water in them, and that would not be good. You want to keep them up high. Okay, now let's take a look at the bag. What did you use for insulation? Okay, very good. A lot of foamy stuff. That's good. The foamy stuff is great. It takes up creates a lot of dead air. Here, I got a zip tie for Zhimin here. He had tied it in a knot, which is also fine, but I like the zip tie because it just, I think, makes a more secure. Okay, let's see. Makes it more secure. Okay, can you pull that through now?
Sure.
And then you can just pull that as tight. And if you need to get into it, you can just cut the zip tie, obviously. And they're very cheap. Okay. And then, okay, so let's just put it back in again. Just being gentle and careful with all of the things to make sure it doesn't knock anything off or anything. And the gooseneck is the portion that you want to make sure gets covered. Now this will cover just about anything in the bottom here. And
just sit on top of the pump.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so adding some insulation on this is going to keep it warmer because underneath it it's not frozen. on top of it, the air is very cold. So there, even though there's no heater under it, there's still the natural warmth of the earth down below. It's not frozen, so that it shouldn't take a lot of insulation to keep this from freezing, because most of these freeze-ups are things where it's just a little bit of extra cold that's making it freeze. You know, on most winters, they don't freeze. They get an extra couple of degrees colder, and then it freezes. So the insulation really is probably only needed to add a few extra degrees. I haven't seen, and having this pump higher up is probably also what's causing the problem in this case. Because I haven't found one yet that froze that was
deep.
That was the correct depth.
Okay.
But I might. Another thing I noticed when I'm looking at Zhimin's cover, and I noticed this on another one too. He did have they have these little wires, and one of the wires was pressed up against the gasket. And so when you take the cover off and put it back on again, make sure there's nothing caught on the gasket, because you want the gasket to be in good condition so it doesn't let water in, or even bugs and things like that. Other than that, I would say everything here looks really good. And I just wanted to say thanks a lot, Zhimin. Now I will say this: insulating your pump should prevent a freeze up. Anybody can have a freeze up, pretty much, like Russian roulette. Because if you happen to have to go away from your home in the winter, even though you don't normally go away from your home in the winter, and if the weather happens to get very cold, you have no control over those things, and it could happen to basically just about anybody. And if your pump is up high, you're at a particular risk. But I would say by putting in the insulation, probably nobody will ever have a problem. That's what I've heard. Okay. It just won't happen because it provides that extra level of protection. But nobody is forced to insulate their pump. And some people won't want to do this because they're not comfortable taking off the cover and putting something inside. They're not comfortable with that. So anybody that's not comfortable with that but does want it insulated, just let me know and I'll be happy to take a look and help you out with that. And it's not, of course, nobody even is forced to do it anyway. So even if you don't do anything and it freezes, you know, you're still covered on the plan. So it's not the end of the world. It's just that having a freeze up is inconvenient. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now in your case, when they came out, did they have to replace the pump?
No, they didn't. They just
they
used
thought
the heater.
and then it was okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, it didn't cost. In some cases, like on Azores, they had to replace the pump, so that cost the town $2,000, let's say. In your case, the actual cost was just the cost of the service call, maybe $300. Still costs, and of course, there's the whole inconvenience for you. So this is a good idea as long as you're comfortable doing it.
It's very convenient, you know. It's not like a 5-minute work. You just get the trash bag and put all those film.
And I would say for anybody that's had a freeze up, this is an extra good idea because it gives you some peace of mind. And if you've had a freeze up, there's a good chance you might have another one, just because the pumps that are most likely to freeze up are the ones that have already frozen in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's all. Bye.